Hey y'all, I am Jenelle Johnson, aka the Sensual Chef. Thank you for joining me today. It's my first YouTube video on this page. I just want to give you a little introduction as to how I got started into my healthy vegan to whole food plant-based to now raw vegan. I'm not going to go into like all the details of it, but I just want to just give you some inspiration on how I got started. So in 2012, I was 8 months pregnant with my son, and I had my own space. My son's father and I were not getting along, and I was supposed to move in with him, and that did not happen. And my mom suggested that I move back home, and I really didn't want to move back home, but she convinced me because she's like, you're gonna need help with that baby. So I moved back home, and at the time she had converted my old room into her office because she works from home. And so I'm like, what, how is this gonna work? And she's like, well, we'll just have to set you up in the living room, and then I'll move out, and and I'm like, okay, cool. So I moved into the living room, and we made it like my bedroom. Had my son, and I remember before checking out of the hospital, the doctor talking to me about the baby blues, and I felt fine at the time. I was just like, yeah, I just want to get home to my son. And I kind of blew him off, you know. Well, I got home, and I think immediately when I got home, the baby blues hit, and I was like, holy shit, I have this child now. Who am I? Like, it was almost like I had lost my sense of identity. Like, I didn't even know who I was. So my son was very colicky, and he had a lot of acid reflux. So I spent many of nights posted up, just holding him so that he could be comfortable going to sleep. I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I was suffering from postpartum depression and anxiety. And so crazy, I didn't really gain a lot of weight during my pregnancy. Most of the time people would be like, you're pregnant? And I'm like, yeah. And I don't know if they just thought I was just drinking too many beers. I don't know. But I was not eating the best. I was not healthy at all. So as time went on, I just started putting on the weight, and just really just fell further and further deeper into depression. And so I was tired. I was working corporate. I went back to work. I was working in corporate America. Had a desk job. And I wasn't doing anything that I was passionate about, and I just fell into this like slump. And it was just a routine of like processed foods, going home and watching processed TV, and just filling my whole aura with the bullshit, you know. And so, gosh, I don't know. I think my son was maybe 2 at the time. I don't know. I just got tired, and I was like, I gotta see somebody. So I started seeing a therapist. And well, actually, I saw 2 therapists. I saw a therapist when I had my postpartum. Oh, and they put me on all these medications too that had me real fucked up. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather just deal with it. So eventually I got off the medication and just sought out more natural healing. And I started seeing an acupuncturist, and that helped me realign my body, my chakras. And I remember telling her that, I think I need to work on my diet. I think that's going to be the key to all of this. And she said, you're absolutely right. So I started with that. I had no idea what I was going to do, what the workout looked like, whatever. Didn't know what my diet was going to look like. I was a person who was accustomed to cheating the system. Like, I would take diet pills and starve myself, and it was a yo-yo thing, right? And so shortly after that, I got on Instagram, and two things that really stood out for me was veganism, and if you ever heard of the X28, G Bryant's workout program, check it out. So those things were like on my radar, right? And I was digging deep. I was like, dang, let me see what this veganism is. What's it about? Because I've tried everything but veganism. I mean, at one point I had even given up, like before I had my son, I had given up meat for an entire year, meat and refined sugars, and I felt amazing. So I started studying veganism, and it just kind of went down a rabbit hole, but it was such a beautiful rabbit hole. But I was like, I don't even know where to start with cooking and all of those things. And so I was like, how's this gonna work? Like, I gotta work out. What am I gonna do about my workout? And I really kind of I was looking at a Peloton. I was like, dang, but my budget. And anyway, so I literally said, fuck it. I'm gonna master this shit. I'm gonna master cooking. I'm gonna master my depression and my anxiety, because I had like agoraphobia. Like, I couldn't go outside. I mean, I could, but I would, and when I was dealing with my postpartum, I had psychosis. So I would see shit. Like, one day I thought my son was not breathing, and he was. I thought he was blue, and he wasn't. So I said, fuck it. I'm gonna figure it out. So what I did was I took my bed out of our makeshift bedroom. I got a futon, something that I could put up and down, and I got weights, and I downloaded G Bryant's program, and I think I did like 3 rounds of it, and like the weights start coming off. I started feeling a lot better, and the more and more I would go in the kitchen every day, and I would cook something every day until I was like blending, cooking, dehydrating. I was doing all of those things because I was like, I like how this feels, right? So after that, I got a Peloton, and the rest is kind of her story, So what I want to say to you is, for me, going from veganism to whole food, plant-based, to now raw vegan, and I'll get into that in another video, it was deeper than the food. It was saving my life. It was curing my depression and my anxiety and getting the weight off of me so that I can actually feel good, so that I can get to a better version of myself. I mean, I have lost weight, gained weight all my life, but I've never really done it in an intentional, healthy way. So, I say to you, start where you are, but start, because it's not going to look pretty in the beginning. And hell, I was in the living room with my son, but I wanted it. There was nothing that was going to get in the way of that. And I said, fuck it, I'm just going to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. So I was uncomfortable sleeping on this futon in this living room, and the house that we lived in was really dark. It didn't have any recessed lighting, and it was depressing to me. But I figured that shit out. I made it work, and I knew for me the key to my success and the key to me having those endorphins continuously going was to continue to work on me, to continue to get in the kitchen, to continue to do the weights, the workouts, the Peloton, whatever that looked like. The continuing of learning more and more about food and how it's healing, and cutting out the toxicity, cutting out the shit that's not serving you. So that's how I started my journey. So this, for me, the lifestyle, I'm overjoyed that God spared me to get to this point, because I don't know where I would be. Like, I was so out of my mind and so disconnected from myself. So when we say like we're depressed, 9 times out of 10, it's because you're disconnected from who you truly should be. And that could be you working on a job. It could be the relationship you're in. It could be how you feel physically, spiritually, mentally. But I always say start with your diet, because that's the one thing we have control over. I mean, as much control as we can over it, you know what I'm saying? But the diet, the food, the living foods make you feel good. So now you think better, you clearer, you have more clarity, you feel good, you have these endorphins, you know, your skin is popping, you know, your hair is growing. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but I shared this story with someone today, and I felt like this was the perfect introduction for me to get on here, get on YouTube, and tell you guys this is how I started. It was not pretty, but it was so worth it. And I thank God, because at that time Instagram was like on the come up, you know, and there was such a huge vegan community on social media. So it was like, to me, it was like the Google. It's like I can go to Instagram and, oh my God, there's a recipe, there's somebody working out, there's somebody vegan, there's you know, it was just so much. It was such a beautiful time and space, and it still is, you know. But anyway, I hope this helps you guys. For me, start with changing your mind, start with opening your mind, start with your food. It's the quickest way to see the change that you need to change. Yes, you can change this. Maybe you can't move, or maybe there's somebody in your household that's toxic, or maybe you're in this relationship and you're trying to get out of. But the one thing you can control is you and your food. And that will bring you the clarity that you need to go to the next step. So, you know, and don't be afraid of the food. Like, you have to have an intimate relationship with your food, because your food is going to give you what you want. So if you're treating it like it's a chore or it's secondary, it's going to treat you that way. So you got to make food. You got to be in love with your food. You got to fucking make love to your food every day, because I know I do, because my food heals me. It loves me, and I love it. And so what I put into my food, it gives back to me. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoy this video. There will be more to come. There will be more talks. I will get deeper and deeper into the many layers of Jenelle Johnson and how she became the Sensual Shef. So, love y'all.